Welcome back to Missouri Valley Media Day here on the field of 68. And we're thrilled to be joined now by Bradley head coach Brian Wardle. And Brian, you are the lucky recipient of the single Missouri Valley All Conference player that is returning to school this season. Duke Dean, he's back. Talk to me a little bit about how Duke is, or how good he's been this summer. But I also want to know, how difficult is it when you're in a conference where all of the good players end up heading off to either graduate or a bigger league after the season? Like, this turnover is not something that feels all that sustainable.
Well, first, thanks for having me on, guys. I always enjoy your show. It's different. College basketball is different nowadays. And you obviously see with the Valley, we're a very good league. I think we were 10th ranked in the net last year, and we got really good players. And so we got to do a great job as coaches now in this new age of college basketball of raising our NIL and trying to keep our players. And having Duke Dean back is huge. I mean, he's one of the best leaders I've ever had, and I've had some great ones in my head coaching career. But he's probably the best leader I've ever had. He's a great teammate. He's a smart player, hard worker. Everything you want in your best player, he has. I mean, you can coach him hard. He holds himself accountable, holds his teammates accountable. And so to have him back, that is a big advantage. And we're trying to make the most of it this offseason with him here. And guys like Darius Hannah and Christian Davis and other guys that we have coming back, and Zeke Montgomery joining us again. So we got a little bit of continuity compared to some teams in our league, and we got to use that to our advantage for sure.
Hey, Wardle, what was the conversation like with Duke? Because, again, I mean, obviously NIL is going to be a little bit of a component, but what was that conversation like? And after watching so many other guys within the league transfer, not just this year, but, last year as well, were you surprised?
Not necessarily. The NIL talk, Jeff, Rob, you guys know it's coming up. I mean, it's a conversation you have to embrace as a coach in recruiting and retaining your players. It is a conversation you got to be prepared for and do your due diligence as a head coach, in my opinion, of making sure that you can fundraise and have money to support your student athletes so you can be competitive and contend for a championship. Because ultimately, we want to put a contender on the floor at Carver Arena. Everybody does. And you want to have an opportunity, chance to win it. And Duke loves Peoria. Peoria has embraced Duke. It is a basketball city, as you guys know. And he's built some really strong relationships on campus with his teammates, with the staff. And I think that was huge to get him. But yeah, we probably got him on discount, to be quite honest. I mean, he probably could have gone in the market and made more money, but would his role be as big? Would he have the ownership in the program? Would he have the teammates around him? Would he have the community loving him and supporting him? I mean, there is something still about that I think young men and women and athletes want. And we have that here in Peoria, and Duke knows that.
So you end up bringing back about 6 of your top 8 guys, and just kind of looking at what your projected rotation could be. The majority of those guys are going to be either players that are coming back from last season, or one of the 2 Division I transfers that you have is a guy that's coming back to the program. You have as much continuity and kind of in-house knowledge of what you guys want to do in terms of the coaching staff of anybody in this league. What kind of advantage does that give you at this point in the season?
Well, you hope it does. I mean, I hope you're maybe a few steps ahead of your competition and what you've implemented in workouts already, where you are as a team. But you have to keep getting better. So my challenge is to keep our competitive stamina high, I call it. Like, anyone can compete and have fun right now this time of year, but you have to stay competitive and keep your team excited to compete and play and work and train all year round. And so that's my challenge, and the staff's is to keep that going. But I think we would have maybe a little bit of advantage right now, and where we're at, I don't know. But I like where we're at. I love the people we brought into the program. I think that is the huge thing that we've learned in portal recruiting is you got to find the fit that fits your locker room, guys that like each other, that get along, that spend time together, because, it's speed dating in the spring, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you get them here. And I thought we did a much better job of just recruiting guys that really fit our culture, fit in the locker room with the Duke, the Dariuses, the Christians, the Metas, the Almars, the Birches. So I thought we brought good guys into that locker room that are unselfish and want to win. And I think that's hopefully going to help us as we move forward.
All right. So when you were hired at Green Bay, how old were you as a head coach? Were you 30? Were you even 30?
30, yeah, 30 years old. 30, yep. young
So you were
buck,
30. Now you're an old
45,
44. Yeah, 45.
yeah,
You're old.
almost 45. So this is my 15th year as a head coach.
You look good though. You still
No,
look
Jeff,
30.
I haven't got too many grays. This beard I got going, the gray will come out, Jeff. It will come out if I grow out the beard. But it's been a cool ride, to just have longevity in this business, to have consistency and continuity on my staff has been huge. And I have a great boss in Chris Reynolds, my athletic director, and he's helped support me at Bradley and keep my staff intact for the most part, and help develop young coaches. And so that's huge. I mean, the people and the city that you live in, and I've raised 3 kids. I got 3 kids, one in college now and one in high school and one in middle school. So it's been really fun to be in one spot and help build a program. But I've learned a lot. I've grown. I still
So
think my best
what's
years.
the biggest thing, Brian? If I said the biggest thing, other than the fact that you don't move quite as quickly as you probably did.
I don't play. I'm retired.
All right, there you go. What's the biggest thing that's changed for you?
Oh, patience. I just think patience. You learn that as a parent, but you definitely learn that as a coach. I think having kids helps you as a coach, to be quite honest. Being efficient with practice, planning, like we were talking about. I'm not starting practice today. I'm starting it a week, down the line. I don't want to wear my guys out. I want to be efficient in practice and be smart and have a plan and have progression as we move forward. I think practice, how you set up practice and how you practice is so critical in a program, in winning. I've learned that over the years to be more efficient and better there. Listen better. I've become a better listener. And you just know that you don't know that you don't know. I mean, I always say there's 2 types of coaches. Those who are humble and those who are about to be. And I've been humbled so many times in my career that I think that's helped me grow.
So one of the players that you did lose this offseason was Malivi Leons, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley. How do you replace that, right? Like it's when you think about scoring, it's like this guy's going to get shots here now, and this guy's going to get shots here now. Maybe we'll have this guy play a bigger role. But I've always felt like when you lose one of these elite defenders, you can't just find a replacement for what a guy like him does. So is it by committee? Is it you're going to try to tweak some things? Is it you send up a couple Hail Marys and hope you can figure it out? Like, how do you replace a guy like that?
A little bit of all that, Rob. Honestly, it's you're spot on though. It's funny that you brought that up because a lot of people, have been talking about, oh, we have players coming back, yada yada. But we lost our 2 best defenders in Malavi Leons and Connor Hickman, who went to Cincinnati as a senior for his last year. And I love Hick, and we're still close to this day. And I love Malavi. But both were really good on-ball defenders. They were tough. They were consistent. And Malavi just disrupted games on the defensive end, whether it's steals, deflections, blocks. His motor never stopped. He's with OKC right now, the Thunder, in training camp this fall. So, we're hoping he can, make a push to make it to the league one day. But he's a tremendous guy and an unbelievably consistent with his work ethic and his motor. And you miss that. You do. And so defensively, there's some concerns right now for us. Honestly, I've told the team that. I've challenged them on ball defense, getting through screens. We got to get better with that. So we do have, just like everybody, some weaknesses that we got to try to cover up and improve on before games start.
Well, you guys you were the best defensive team in the league last year. You know what you're getting out of Duke. You know what you're getting out of Darius for the most part. You know what you're getting out of Christian. Who has surprised you so far this past offseason that maybe you didn't expect to have this strong of it might be a new guy?
I think Almar Allison, he was a freshman for us last year, 6'8" sniper, can really spread the floor. I mean, shooting is so valuable, as you guys know, and you've seen the game progress in spreading the floor out and making plays. Almar's gotten better. His body's gotten better. He came back from his national team. He had a really good summer in his Icelandic national team. He's been playing very well for us. Amat Jonovic, our Serbian, 7'1", 260. He's gotten better. You're going to see him impact us a lot with his physicality and his size. There's not many guys in the Valley like him, so we got to utilize him and keep getting him better. Zeke Montgomery, obviously we know what Zeke is, but I think he's gotten a little bit better. And he's just a 6'6" playmaking guard for us, which we needed last year. It was kind of our missing piece, I thought, to our team. And we having him back is huge with Hick gone and Malavi gone. But then, Demarion Birch is he's a sophomore. I had 2 freshmen last year play a big role for us. And both those guys have gotten stronger, more mature, more consistent, and I think they're going to play, a fun role for us this year.
I wanted to ask you about Almar because he played with, was it the U22s that he played with Iceland?
Under 20 Icelandic team, yeah.
Yeah, the U20 team. Okay, so when you go and you have a guy like that that ends up playing with their national team and maybe some international competitions, is that a good thing to get them in a maybe a different system, a different offense, maybe do different things defensively, or is it something where they come back and some of the things that you've been drilling throughout the year, maybe they've picked up some habits for something? Like I've always been curious what happens when you have a guy that leaves for a summer, goes and plays with a different coaching staff and a different team, and then you bring him back and try to get him back into what you guys do.
Yeah, and we've had our fair share of international guys here at Bradley, and it's worked out really well for us. But I might have a different mindset than most coaches, Rob. Honestly, I like it. I want them to go play for their national team. I think it's good to play a different style in the off season. These guys they're playing high level players. They're getting coached at a high level, and it might be a different system, but anytime the ball is in their hands and they're in the gym and they're competing, it's a positive thing in my mind. Sure, they come back usually physically. They're not as strong as our guys because they've been in the weight room 4 days a week all summer and lifting and training, and that's kind of bigger over here in the States than it is overseas. But basketball-wise, Almar picks things up pretty quickly. He transitions pretty fast. He's a high IQ, high field player like most international guys are. So it really doesn't take them long. But I would say, to answer your question specifically, the physical side of things, they might lose a little weight or a little strength. You got to get that back on them pretty quick.
All right, Wardle, the biggest question, the final one for me. How worried are you about Caleb Williams right now? That's what I want to know.
Hey, Jeff, I'm a diehard Bears fan. I grew up with a Walter Payton jersey on my back when I was a kid, and McMahon, and I watched the game yesterday. My kids are into it. My wife's in fantasy, so everybody loves NFL in our house. And he showed signs yesterday, Jeff. I got excited. I always joke. I say when I recruited,
the silver lining here. Okay,
it is. But when I always say as a coach, like I look at it differently than fans. I coach a program, building a program. When I took over Bradley, I signed a kid who's a young man who's on my staff now, Darryl Brown Jr. out of Memphis, Tennessee, DB. Like freshman year, when you hand the ball over to a point guard, Kiefer Sykes did it for me at Green Bay. You want to see some big games. You want to see them take over a game or two and win you some games so that hey, I can build a program around this guy. This is my guy. I'm all in on him. Let's develop him. Let's get him better. I think you're going to see that with Caleb. I think he's going to have some big games. I think he can throw it. I'm not that Bears fan that's going to lose my mind just yet, but I think you're going to see that, and it's a guy you can build around for sure. But I'm excited to see it. And hopefully we can get some wins because Chicago sport pro teams, we need some wins this year. It could be a rough year for us.
It's not great right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So on NFL Sundays, if you have the whole family playing fantasy, right? But you guys are diehard Bears fans, and you want to, are you a red zone household? Or are you just
they're not all Bears fans? They're not all.
No, they're not all bands. Rob, this is very important. My wife would be very mad at you for saying that. So my wife was born in Wisconsin. We met at Marquette. She played soccer. I was coaching in Green Bay. I was an assistant under Todd Kowalczyk for 5 years. Then I took over for 5. I was there 10 years. I had all 3 of my kids in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So they're all Packer fans, the whole house. So you got to imagine.
How did you let this happen?
I got 4 Packer. I don't know. It's awful. My dad never understood it. My mom coming in like, how could this be? How could this happen? But I got 4 Packer fans and 1 Bears fans. But they've had bragging rights on me for so long. They give me a hard time. They're sitting there. Jordan Love's out and they're winning with a backup, and they're like, look at what the Packers can do with their quarterbacks. Why can't the Bears ever do that? They give me a hard time all the time. But it's a big sports house. We love football. We love soccer too, and we're a very competitive group in the Wardle household. Put it that way.
Well, you are a brave man to admit this publicly. I will say that, because if I was the father of a recruit, right, and you told me that you weren't even able to coach up your children to be Bears fans, then I don't know, man. That's a red flag right there. That's a concern.
That's a good point. Let's not air this part. Let's edit this out.
All right. Listen, Brian, congratulations, man. Best of luck this season. We appreciate you being here. We'll be back with more of the Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 coming up next.